We're here with Stylian Cocalides, Vice President and co-founder of Avionica. Stylian, take us back to the early days of Avionica and give us a brief history, if you will.
Sure. Well, our president, Raul Segredo, and I founded the company pretty much in a garage. The year was 1992. Both of us had an avionics background designing ARINC 700 series control panels. We decided it was high time the industry made better use of the ubiquitous PC and emerging laptop computers for test and diagnostic purposes. Back then, all line test equipment was dedicated to a single task and housed in large protective cases. The concept of a single platform for multiple testers was new. We made the PC that platform and entered the avionics market as a ground support equipment, or GSE manufacturer.
So what was your first product?
Well, we started small. We developed a PC-based ARINC 429 bus analyzer called GP429. It used a serial port, remember those, to interface to aircraft data buses. It's evolved this USB 429 WIN that uses a laptop or tablet USB interface to communicate with the aircraft, and it's still a favorite today.
And then?
We believe in derivative products. Using very similar circuitry to the ARINC 429 analyzer, we introduced a PC-based digital flight data recorder monitoring and download tool.
What was unique about that?
Well, the requirements of continued airworthiness for flight data recorder systems in aircraft required that the recorder be read at regular intervals. It was once common practice to remove the recorder and send it to the manufacturer or an MRO for test and overhaul when necessary. But the costs and logistics associated with removing a recorder were significant. First, the recorder had to be replaced so the aircraft could fly. The removed unit was quarantined until the replacement unit had accumulated 25 hours. Then the unit could be shipped and read. Shipping to the OEM, reading and analyzing the data could take weeks. But that's not all. Once the original unit was removed from the aircraft, it also had to be fully tested. We call that a return to service test, before it could be installed in another aircraft. Spares, shipping, readout and analysis, return to service test, it cost the airline up to $10,000 for that one readout. And that readout was returned 3 to 4 months after the recorder was removed from the aircraft. In the interim, the aircraft flew without the benefit of the report. Were there damaged sensors? Other problems? Who knew? The problem for the airlines was further compounded by the OEMs. If an airline wanted to bring this task in-house to save time and money, they could expect to spend upwards of $100,000 on test equipment from the manufacturer for each brand of recorder in the fleet. Understandably, once an airline had recorders from one OEM, they were unlikely to change. That would require additional test equipment, personnel training, documentation. Our approach was radically different. We used a PC to read the recorder on the aircraft, and we provided a different interface cable for each brand and model of recorder. But the same platform and procedures were used for all. Once the data was copied from the recorder, the PC then transmitted the data to Avionica or another analysis center for evaluation. That removed the spares, quarantine, and shipping requirements from the equation. We could analyze the data in a couple of days, not months, from receipt, and send a report to the airline. Chances are the aircraft was in a service check when the work was done, so any sensor or system repairs could be done before the aircraft returned to service. We took a 3-month cycle and turned it into 3 days. We literally turned the industry on its head.
I bet the savings were significant.
Our first major airline customer saved over $600,000 the first year they used our products and service. And that included the money they spent on our equipment. That they've remained a loyal customer of ours, products and for our services, for nearly 15 years. This is how the product has evolved today. It's called the RSU2.
And what are all these?
These are digital flight data recorders, or black boxes. They're actually not black. They're painted bright orange and they have reflective tape applied in order to be visible so they can be quickly seen and retrieved at an accident scene.
There's quite an assortment here.
Today we support over 25 recorder models from manufacturers throughout the world. There's some very old magnetic tape-based units here from the 1970s for which only Avionica continues to provide support. as well as some units like this one that have barely made it to market yet.
How did you get one?
Well, Avionica is recognized as the leader in flight data recorder readout tools. We support more recorders than any other manufacturer. As a result, we often work closely in partnership with the recorder OEMs to provide interfaces to our GSC devices, like the RSU2, and native support for their data in our AFSCAN flight data analysis tool. This way, the manufacturer enters the market with a product that is already well supported, and that can lower their barrier to entry, both into the market overall as well as at individual airlines.
You mentioned services.
Great segue, thanks. Well, analyzing flight data requires an unusual talent set. Avionics engineers who happen to also be pilots are uniquely qualified to understand flight data. With 7 private pilot-rated engineers in the company, we found ourselves increasingly interested in the data itself. We scoured the market and soon realized how expensive and cumbersome the analysis software of that day was. We decided to write our own, and the result is our AFSCAN flight product. We've always been involved with various flight safety organizations and have been active in the ARINC working groups. So we took a best practices approach, both from a flight data analysis and a software engineering perspective. We became our own best customer. With nearly 1,000 aircraft under contract and several personnel doing analysis daily, we were able to rapidly develop, deploy, and perfect the product. Today, it's used by hundreds, including major and regional airlines, engine manufacturers, MROs, universities, and government agencies the world over.
Are you still offering analysis services?
Certainly, and with more aircraft under contract every year. Some airlines have remained under contract with us for more than 15 years now.
Oh, well, thank you. That was very interesting.
Thank you.